Hey everybody, Vox Day, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic News. If I'm looking and sounding like I got run over by a bus, it's because we had our first friendly game of the season tonight, and pretty much everything hurts. From about here down. It was kind of embarrassing in that I feel like hell. We played my veterans team, for which I am the oldest player, was playing this a junior team. So it's basically an under-17 team. But it was an under-17 team from a major club. And, you don't realize how much you've slowed down until you're playing an under-17 team. It was kind of funny. At one point, I was playing on the left wing. And at one point, the other team's right wing said to me, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 48." His eyes got about this big. He said, "Wow." I said, "How old are you?" He said, "I'm 15." So, and man, that little bastard was good. We were sort of spectacularly disadvantaged because we had no substitutes and no goalie. So we ended up losing 4-1, but it was respectable. Two of the goals would have been saved if we had one of our regular goalies. But the left defender and I decided after the game that it was a victory for the left, because our side did not give up any goals. Our side of the field did not give up any goals, and our left defender scored our only goal. So, we felt a real sense of accomplishment. But man, I'm tired. The worst thing is that even though I'm the oldest player on the team, I'm still one of the fastest teams. I'm one of the fastest on the team. And so it was just hellacious because I'm having to mark the left wing all the way down. But because I was staying on him, they would focus on going right up the middle. And our two central defenders could not run with their attackers. The attackers were just too fast. And so I would have to come down the side with my guy and then break to the middle and sprint into the middle to cut them off. So, and that worked, but it was kind of funny because I was dragging. After one of those, one or two of those, you need about 15 seconds just to recover. So, fortunately, I've played with this team for a long time, and the defender would just move up to my position while I caught my breath on defense and we'd switch. Anyhow. Enough of that. I just thought I'd explain why I look like hell. And this is after a coffee, too. Who do I support in European football? My two favorite teams are AC Milan and Arsenal. So, the first thing I always end up thinking when I go onto the field for the first game is I have got to lose another 2 or 3 kilos. Oh, Wenger's out. Yeah, I mean, we all knew it was coming. I don't know what the situation is per se, other than I was expecting him to get resign or something reasonably soon. I mean, their performance has been pretty disastrous this year. So, I love Arsene Wenger. I think he's a really interesting man. I think he's a really good football manager, but he other than the year of the Centurions, he has had less success than you would think so. I don't know what the right way to deal with a leftist bishop would be. So, but honestly, tonight's probably not the night to expect anything intelligent coming from me. I'm actually doing a. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm actually doing a show with Steph on, I think in 2 days or something, pretty soon. We're going to talk about crime and punishment. I think we're going to focus on literature because I'm about to start editing one of his new, or editing his novel that's going to be coming out, The Temple of Sin. My analysis on the London terror attack. I don't know there's really much to say. I mean, the one thing that's is important to note is that this guy was not a recent immigrant. And it just demonstrates that the problem is with Islam. The problem is not, I mean, yes, there are also other problems with different races and different cultures and that sort of thing. But the biggest problem, Islam is not and has never been compatible with Christendom. Islam is not and has never been compatible with atheism. And so, I've said this many times, either choose Reconquista 2.0 or choose submission to Sharia. Those are your two options. Everything else is just, biding time until it gets to one of those 2 points. I actually talked to Mike for quite a while, about 3-4 days ago, about 60 minutes. One of the things that I mentioned to him is that it's important for him to explain why he's doing it when he generally advises people to avoid the media. Because my initial impression when I found out about that was, Mike, what are you doing? Why would this make sense? But then I thought about it actually before I talked to him. I thought, yeah, okay, I get it, and I think it actually is a good move for him to do that. Remember when we're telling you stuff like don't talk to the media, there is that doesn't mean there aren't caveats and exceptions. We're trying to make the point strongly because so many amateurs and so many people who have way less experience with the media than we do tend to come up with all these really stupid ideas like, oh, well, record them, or, get them to agree that you get to approve the final editing. And, all that shows is that you have no experience. No, it's not true that any good press is good press. I don't talk to the media for the most part. I turn down interviews pretty close to on a daily basis. The only way that I talk to the media is in writing. Mike did record his interview, but again, that's not the important thing. That is no defense. Here's why doing 60 Minutes makes sense for Mike, is because first of all, 60 Minutes audience has virtually no overlap with Mike's normal audience. 60 Minutes is predominantly watched by people who are 60 years old and over. Mike is not dependent upon the 60 Minutes audience. So it's basically a no-lose situation for him. What if he goes on to 60 Minutes and they manage to make him look like an idiot? They manage to completely tear him apart and make him look incompetent. So what? It doesn't matter. 60-year-old people don't care about Mike Cernovich. They're not going, in general, they're not going to support Mike Cernovich. So it's a no-lose situation. In terms of, there's SJWs in this situation. That's funny. Well, that's good. The fact that SJWs are here means that this is reaching people and making a difference. Now, and then the upside for Mike is that going on 60 Minutes, ups his profile, makes him look much more significant, and there's a decent chance that it's going to go well because 60 Minutes is not ready for him. They're used to a much softer targets. They're used to people who are kowtowing to them and very concerned about pleasing them. And so, it's basically a no-lose situation with a decent amount of upside. And so that's why I think it makes sense for Mike to do that. Now, by the same token, we talked about the Daily Show. Mike is not going to do the Daily Show because the Daily Show focuses on a younger crowd, which has some overlap with his crowd, and the Daily Show is really brutally dishonest. We know that. Everybody knows that. So it's a mistake. When we say don't ever talk to the media, we're talking to you guys. We're talking to normal people. We're talking to up-and-comers. We're not somebody like Mike. I mean, if you've read MAGA Mindset, you understand that Mike has one of the best grasps of the media. He's someone who can make a judgment call, and he's usually going to make the right call. I trust Mike's judgment on these things. I won't be surprised if the 60 Minutes piece turns out pretty well for him. Mike's really good at, you got to remember, Mike's a lawyer. He is very able to put on the suit and tie and do the whole routine in a way that allows him to come off well. So, but you can't take it too far. Is Stefan Molyneux media? Should I not talk to him? I mean, when I say what part of don't talk to the media don't you understand, that is when I'm talking about normal people who are not media experts, who are not media professionals. Mike's a media professional. I'm a media professional. Milo's a media professional. The standard rules don't apply to the experts, but you got to keep in mind, we mostly live by them. Mike turns down 90 to 95. I mean, I'm turning down stuff every day. Imagine how much stuff he's turning down. He's probably turning down 4 or 5 times more interviews and requests and that sort of thing than I am. And so, and Scott Adams just got taught a lesson. And I mean, he tried to kind of spin it a bit to say, no one else would have done this, and I knew it was going to be bad, and then it was bad. But the point is, I still think that he's a little bit disappointed. But he used to be much more popular with the media, so I think it's a little bit hard for him to fully accept at times. I don't know. I mean, I'm not particularly good at certain forms of verbal debate simply because I have a tendency to talk over the audience's head. And I also have a tendency to break into my own thought patterns. I can think a lot faster than I can talk. And so sometimes that tends to come off as a little disjointed. I tend to prefer written debates for that reason. But I have to say, the one time that I did go on a video show, a television show, it was kind of funny. It was about Scotland and that sort of thing. It was around the time that Scotland was doing its independence. And it was kind of funny because the guy thought, I'm going to talk about this guy who believes in secession, and he's going to look like an idiot. And it was pretty funny because, I was able to cite all kinds of examples from Scotland to Barcelona, and all this sort of thing. And he was, he visibly looked confused and upset. It was very clear that he had not just lost the debate, but been beaten very badly. And so that was kind of amusing. So, maybe I could do it, but the fact of the matter is I'm not interested in it. TV is, forgive me, but my opinion is that TV is fundamentally a media. It's a media for morons. It's a media for passive information imbibers who don't think. And, I'm just not really that concerned in catering my communication to them. If people want to hear what I have to say, they can read my blog, they can read my books. For crying out loud, this is volume 1 of my collected columns. It's 764 pages, and there's a fantastic review of it on the blog today that somebody put on Amazon. It's like a novella. It's so long and detailed, and it's very positive, and it's very factual. So if somebody can't bother, if somebody wants to know really what I think in depth and that sort of thing, and they can't bother to read this, why should I go to the trouble of trying to figure out how to talk to them? Actually, I shaved my head for the first time back when I was, 22, 23. I was in Psychosonic at the time, and I was kind of going through my perfect warrior phase. I was doing martial arts pretty heavily, and so I don't mind having it. I like having it shaved. In fact, I would probably shave it clean rather than just trim it closely. But my wife thinks that tends to make me look like a serial killer. So this is apparently a little bit more civilized. So no, I think shaving clean is less work. You just use a razor when you're in the shower. Am I for Trump, the God Emperor? Shouldn't you be? How long do I think before the UK, France, Germany, Sweden collapse? I don't think any of them will collapse before the USA, but I think the EU will collapse first. Let's see. Anyhow, but the reason I call this thank you was because I just really wanted to say thank you to all the people that have been supporting me and supporting Castalia House and supporting Autark, the friends of the blog and that sort of thing. It's pretty common for celebrities to say, oh, I love the fans so much, I'm all about the fans and that kind of thing. And, we all know that's pretty much ridiculous for the most part. I'm sure there are some celebs and stuff who feel that way and that sort of thing. But, I think that the Dread Ilk and I have a pretty unique relationship. Even people like Mike Cernovich and Milo, people who are much bigger and more popular than I am, they occasionally speak somewhat enviously of the relationship that I have with the Dread Ilk. And the reason is that we have this mutual loyalty, and it's something that is hardened by the intensity of the opposition that we run into, that we see. And it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. I mean, I love it when there's a chance to do something. You know, that when there's a chance to say, "Hey, we're doing this. Do you want to come? Do you want to come and get involved?" And so, if you look at, I mean, I don't think people understand how remarkable it is that I don't think people understood how remarkable it is that Corrosion, the book that we published to essentially be a meta parody of John Scalzi's The Collapsing Empire. I would estimate that we sold about 1/3 to 1/4 as many copies in the first 4 days as the Scalzi book did. Now, that's absolutely astonishing if you think about the fact that John Scalzi is supposedly one of the biggest authors in science fiction today. Johann Scalzi is a first-time author. Tor Books is the largest publisher in science fiction. They've put on this major book tour. They've pushed it to NPR. They've pushed it all over the place. Let's get rid of this loser here. And so, and the book was actually taken down for about 36 hours by an SJW inside Amazon who was abusing his position. And so, the thing is this is absolutely, if you want to know why the SJWs were so freaked out, that's why. They could not believe that even though we just had one little Kindle edition, and they had the Kindle, the hardcover, the paperback, the audiobook, all that sort of thing, they could not believe that we were nearly able to. I think we got within 380 spots of the Collapsing Empire's Amazon rank. That's absolutely astonishing. And that's something that you guys did. I didn't do that. I mean, I literally had nothing to do with that. All we did was put it out there and said, "Hey guys, if you're interested in this, if you want to help us out, if you want to get involved, do this." And so many of you responded. I mean, literally hundreds of you responded, and I just wanted to say thank you. It's very encouraging, and I don't need encouragement to stand up for what is right. I don't need encouragement to speak the truth. Those are things that I have to do because I have to answer to God, I have to answer to my conscience, and so forth. But there's a lot of different choices. You have different choices about what you do, how you do things. We could have knuckled under easily. When Amazon first told us, "Oh, you can't do this, you have to change the cover," and all that sort of thing, we could have just gone with that. But because we knew you guys wanted us to, we kept fighting. And no, I don't have to answer to Space Bunny. I don't. We don't have that kind of she who must be obeyed relationship. But the thing is that we're also very focused on providing quality, and part of why we want to provide quality is because we deeply appreciate the strength and the intensity of the support that you guys have for us. The other thing that I wanted to thank you guys for, and again, it's the participation that's remarkable. Autark, I'll show you here. Autark, I'm not huge into role-playing games myself, but Autark makes the Adventure Conqueror King system. It's a role-playing game system. And actually, Domains of War is the one thing that I think is pretty cool. It's a very interesting system. I don't play role-playing games, but I sometimes like to read the books just for game design purposes. And anyhow, Autark is friends of ours, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, would you be willing to support our Kickstarter?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I supported a couple of the other ones. They said, "No, I mean, would you be willing to talk about it?" I said, "Well, sure, but I don't really have much to say about it other than, I'm backing it." And he said, "Well, what if we..." then I noticed that they had a thing with a character class or something like that. And I said, "Well, could we get a Dark Lord character class? I think that people would like that." And he said, "Well, yeah, but that's at that's at this highest level, the patron deity level." And I said, "Well, I wasn't planning to back it that heavily. I'll back it heavily, but come on." And he said, "Well, look, what we can do is if you do a post about this and your readers want to have a Dark Lord class and have these different illustrations that we talked about, then just when they do their backing, just have them say for the Dark Lord and in the comments, and then we will put we'll pool their total, and when their total contributions hit the equivalent of a patron deity level, then we'll add the Dark Lord class." And so, yeah, this was actually the post on VP, but there was a post on Castalia as well. But the post on Castalia was actually quite more important to them in some ways because that's where the role playing gamers are. So they're Jeffro is an expert. He's written an entire book on Appendix N from Dungeons and Dragons. So anyhow, so we did the post, and I get this email about 20 minutes later saying, "Holy crap, the Dark Lord class is already good to go." They managed to hit that just immediately. And so we're going to do some. I can't announce it yet, but when they get to the 20,000 level, the Kickstarter is already funded. It's already at the 15,000 that they needed. And again, a lot of that was thanks to you guys and the whole. I mean, if you look at the comments, it's really funny because it says, "For the Dark Lord, for the Dark Lord, for the Dark Lord." What is this Dark Lord stuff? For the Dark Lord, for the Dark Lord. So, anyhow, so it was fun. It was fun to watch, and it's going to be fun to have. And by the way, if the illustrations of the Dark Lord and his Elven consort, or Malwyn, and the Vile Faceless Minions and the Dread Ilk, if those 4 illustrations turn out as well as I hope they will, we will turn them into T-shirts. But again, it shows you the importance of community, and it shows you the importance of allowing people to get involved. No, this is not the new Rabbit Puppy shirt. This is the old one. I should be getting the new one soon. It's got more of a blue and white color to it. It's very, very cool. What level? Just whatever you like. I mean, I think that the lowest level that you'd want to back is the one that gets you the paperback books. The paperbacks are nice, and so that's definitely something that you want. But like I said, if it does get to the 20,000 level, and there's already the Dark Lord class, so you don't need to say for the Dark Lord, but it's kind of fun. So if you want to, feel free to mention it. I think my favorite one was somebody posting, I backed this before Vox posted anything about it, but can I still be for the Dark Lord? So, which was fun. But I have to tell you, though, the thing that cracks me up more than anything is when someone asks one of my kids what I do. Because now they always tell them, he's a Dark Lord. That definitely provokes some curious looks on people's faces. But it is amusing. So, anyhow, there's a question. My musical influences. I would say when the band that probably affected us most was we were all Duran Duran fans, but not so much Duran Duran in the sense of the popular stuff, but more sort of the slightly more discordant stuff. Yeah, Sisters of Mercy is definitely the inspiration for Corrosion, but there's a lot of Duran Duran's a much better band than most people understand. If you look at the music that they're making, it's for pop music of that time. It was very good. I'm just saying that was the one band that we all four of us listened to. Now at the time we had some very, very different tastes. Paul was more into like ambient stuff. Dan was definitely into the sort of Euro dance stuff, Too Unlimited, that kind of thing. Mike was just into, I don't even know what he was into musically per se, but he liked Guar, and he liked Guar and Marilyn Manson, early Marilyn Manson, that sort of thing. At the time, I was into Ministry and My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, and to a lesser extent KMFDM, but I was also into The Orb, and actually now that I think of it, Mike was really into The Orb too. So we definitely had some softer. This was well before Disturbed. We recorded our first album we were recording our first songs back in like 1991, 1992. Just look up Psychosonic. That's my old band. PSYSONIK. We were good. We were a little bit ahead of our time. Yeah, Sex on Wheels was awesome. Disturbed is great. Disturbed is one of my favorite bands. They were my favorite band to listen to before 21 Pilots and Baby Metal. So, I'm a huge Baby Metal fan. But the thing we were never into 80s hair metal stuff. Literally none of us were. If you listen to Crank Freak, Crank Freak was influenced by Jesus Built My Hot Rod. My main job in the band was actually just writing lyrics. But when we played, I either played keyboards or bass, depending on what the song was and when we were doing it. We didn't play live very much. I think we played live like 4 times. We were actually the only band to accidentally blow off Lollapalooza. We were supposed to play on the second stage. We were supposed to play on the second stage right before Temple of the Dog, but our lead singer stayed at a different hotel and ended up getting lost. Bauhaus is okay. I'm not really into the sort of deep, slow, music sort of things. But honestly, probably my favorite musician of all time still is David Sylvian. I absolutely love David Sylvian. My one CD my one Desert Island CD is definitely David Sylvian, Gone to Earth. And, Snowborn Sorrow, it's called Nine Horses, but it's really David Sylvian. That's great. Rain Tree Crow is great. But my two all-time favorite CDs are Gone to Earth and Secrets of the Beehive. If you haven't listened to those two CDs, I absolutely recommend it. So, can Crypto Fashion do an alt-night design? Yeah, we really should do that. By David Sylvian. He's the former lead singer of Japan. I like The Cure. I mean, I'm of the age that everybody was very familiar with The Cure, The Police, those kind of bands. The one band that everybody really liked that I never liked very much was REM. I always thought REM was pretty lame. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails is good. I mean, I had, we had all that stuff pretty early on, so it was. I don't know. I've just never liked REM. I'm trying to think what other influences. I guess I mean, obviously, I would say also Depeche Mode was a influence. Especially the sort of middle period Depeche Mode, where it was a little bit darker, and they'd just gotten into using samples in addition to synthesizers, but they weren't really trying to use guitars and regular drums yet. That was probably the big one. Can Reconquista 2.0 also happen in California and Texas? Not particularly. I don't think so, because Reconquista is something that relates to Islam. It doesn't necessarily relate. I mean, it's not possible to send back the Hispanics and the Mexicans anymore. I don't think. I think that it's going to be necessary for there to be secession. I think they're going to need to divide the country up. I think that the Sand States are essentially gone. They already have a majority population there. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Hispanics, La Raza Cosmica, is quite adept at ethnic cleansing. And so I'm remotely aware of what's going on with Ukraine, but I'm not paying too terribly much attention, to be honest. That makes me no sad. I guess I don't follow that. Yeah, I mean but California is not America. I mean, California was a American ideal for a while, but it wasn't the place that people were from. I mean, my family was from California long before the sort of 50s, the 50s California beach image that people think about. And so, it's just, California is not necessary for America. And so, and also California is totally dependent. Yeah, I mean, California was Spanish much more than it was American. And so, I think the sooner that we get to secession, the better off the remnant will be. And so, so we'll see how it goes. But anyhow, I'm just completely rambling now. So, but my main goal tonight was just to say thank you very much for supporting the new release of Corrosion, the first book of the Corroding Empire. Thanks to all of you who supported the Autar Kickstarter and arranged to get the Dark Lord class in there. And I hope that you'll continue to participate in some of the projects that we will be, conceiving and announcing and bringing up in the near future. So thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.